Ladies and gentlemen, I never thought this day would come. I never thought I'd be making a video about me going from iPhone to Android, but today I picked up the Google Pixel 10 Pro and I'm gonna be switching. I'm gonna even put my SIM card from my iPhone 16 Pro Max into this phone. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I did pick up the phone just to make this YouTube video and I just wanna try it out, you know, like I'm intrigued, I'm kind of like curious as to what Android has to offer, but I'm not gonna lie, a big part of me that was holding me back was what my friends on iMessage are gonna think. But you know what, we gotta do what we gotta do. So we got the Google Pixel 10 Pro in hand and we got it in the moonstone color. I personally think that this is the best color that you could get this year. It's kind of like a bluish, grayish color. We got it in 128 gigabytes. This is the smaller version, this is not the Pro XL. I'm gonna stop yapping it and I'm just gonna start opening it. This is a crazy moment. I haven't opened an Android phone since I was like damn near 12 years old, I think. That's over a decade with the iPhone. But you know what? Like there's something fun about getting a new phone that's not an iPhone, I can't lie. All right, so we got this nice little box, very similar to the iPhone, and let's give it my first impressions. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it feels good in the hand. I like the smaller size, I can't lie. It feels very much like an iPhone. You know what it looks like? It looks like that sky blue color iPhone 13 Pro, I think that came out a while ago. This is a little size comparison for y'all in my hand. Like I said, this is the smaller version and I'm gonna actually be opening it up. So inside the box, we literally have, we do have some stuff. We have some paperwork. We got the SIM ejector tool, which is needed because I'm gonna be replacing this phone. We got stickers? No stickers. No Apple stickers in a Google phone, who would have thought? And we also got the USB-C cable. I'm gonna be testing this phone out for a little while to see how I like it, but no promises. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not. It almost feels heavier than the iPhone actually. I don't know how to feel about this. It's a weird feeling. But anyways, let's take off the plastic. Very satisfying. So we got the moonstone color, which in this lighting almost looks like blue. And we got the glossy rails. To be honest, I don't really like the glossy rails too much. I think that if they were matte, they would have been nicer, like the iPhone. It's weird, I don't even know what to say. Where do we go? All right, let's power this on. All right, so as soon as we open the phone, we have this like, hey there little screen. Okay, so set up using another device. I'm gonna set it up from an iPhone or iPad. So let's do that. It's gonna ask me to log into the Wi-Fi. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. It's asking me to put my SIM card in. So I'm gonna take it out of the iPhone. Here in Canada, obviously we have SIM cards still. So it's not an eSIM or anything. And just like that, y'all, it's official. So we got our cable. It's asking us to connect both devices. Connect one. So while this is happening, let's go over the specs of this Google Pixel 10 Pro real quick. So for the screen, it has a 1280 by 2856 LTPO OLED. So that means it can vary the refresh rate from like 1 to 120 Hertz. It has 2200 nits of HDR brightness. It could get up to 3300 nits peak brightness. It has full HDR support. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM and it has the Google Tensor G5 processor. And as for the camera, it has a triple camera setup. It has a 50 megapixel main camera with a 48 megapixel ultra wide and also 48 megapixel telephoto camera. All right, so while that is happening, I'm gonna just head out and I'll check back in when this is done. Okay, so it's actually been a few days since I've had the Pixel 10 Pro and I've got some thoughts because this whole process is really not what I thought it would be. First, let's start with the hardware. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the hardware itself is really nice. The phone feels very, very much like an iPhone, and I think that's because of the sides and just the flat overall design of it. The one thing is that I wish the sides weren't glossy. It kind of reminds me of like the iPhone 14 and the 13 with the glossy sides, and I think they just collect fingerprints difference. To be honest, I don't know how they're gonna hold up long term against scratches, but that's one thing that I would have liked them to do differently, is just the glossy sides. But other than that, it's a really, really nice design. It feels really good in the hand. It doesn't have any sharp corners. It's comfortable to hold, especially with the smaller size. And I actually really like the design of the visor of the camera module. I think it's a little bit unique. It's a little bit different, but overall, I think it actually does look really good. It is aesthetic, so I have nothing really bad to say about the design. The only thing, if I'm gonna nitpick a little bit, is that the bezels on this are a little bit thick, especially when I'm comparing it to my iPhone. So I wish they would have shrunk it a little bit, but other than that, it's a really nicely built phone. The next thing that I really like about this phone is Pixel Snap. And for those of you who don't know, basically that is like Google's version of MagSafe. It is compatible with MagSafe. It's vice versa. So Pixel Snap stuff will be compatible with your iPhone MagSafe, and iPhone MagSafe stuff will be compatible with the Pixel, which is really good because I got a bunch of accessories that I use, like my wallet that just snaps on the back of this, my phone dock, which is on the side of my bed, even in my car. So it's really good to see that it has the same type of magnet setup, so I don't have to get new accessories. So I really, really like that feature. The biggest thing that I want to really talk about is the switching process going from iPhone to Android. So there's going to be two separate parts of that, which I feel is like the process of like getting your stuff over from iPhone to the Google, and then the other part is like the actual living with an Android. I have some thoughts on both, to be honest. So first, the switching process. When I first tried to switch it, I connected both my phones through the cable, and for some reason it just said like reconnect the cable, and I don't know what was going on with it. So it failed a few times, and it actually took me like 2 hours, and then I just kind of gave up. I just put it to the side. I don't know if it was the cable itself or if it was like something that happens a lot, so I can't really talk on that, but in my experience, that's what did happen. So then I gave it about a day, and I tried it again with a different type of cable, and it did take a long period of time. And something interesting was like, it was saying that, oh, you know, there's gonna be like 4 minutes left, but it was like for like 40 minutes, but it did transfer. So what did transfer over was my apps, my contacts, my pictures, but what did not transfer was my messages. To be fully honest with you, I was pretty disappointed with the whole switching process coming from an iPhone. It was not seamless. It was not easy. It was not intuitive. Most of my stuff that I actually wanted wasn't even on the phone. So I'm pretty sure that this process will be different from Android to Android, but again, my use case is iPhone to Android, and it was not a good experience, and I'm hoping that it could get better over time. And that brings me to my biggest issue with the Switch, and that is the Apple ecosystem. So here's the thing, there are so many different products and features that I'm really tied into with the Apple ecosystem. Things like my Apple Watch, which I use every day for notifications, for working out. Things like syncing with my MacBook Pro, which I use like iMessage on, and then using AirDrop to transfer files back and forth, especially as a content creator. My AirPods, which just naturally sync to all my devices very, very easily. And then even like iCloud. So I found out the hard way that all of my calendar, my contacts, everything was synced in iCloud rather than Google. So the switching process was not as seamless with that either. But this is the thing, even if I could live without all of those features, the one thing that is the biggest problem is iMessage. So the whole green bubble versus blue bubble thing is a real thing here in North America, especially in Canada with me and my friends, and I'm experiencing it every time I put my SIM card in this phone. The biggest reason that I have against the Switch is the feeling of alienation that I get from my friends. All of my group chats, they're all transferred to green bubbles just because I want to test an Android phone. I know that sounds like a kind of stupid reason, but that's the reality of our situation here in North America. And in Canada, I don't want to be considered like a bad guy almost for having an Android. And it's stupid to even say that, but it's real. I'm almost hesitant to feel left out of my groups, especially my group chats with all my friends, just because of an Android phone. And actually, I even posted a picture of me getting this phone on my Instagram story, and so many people were like, no, what are you doing, yada, yada, yada. The phone, even though it's a really good phone, it's just the iMessage and the FaceTime and like the whole kind of narrative behind it that is really kind of holding me back into the Apple ecosystem. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, for that reason, I am not going to be using this as my main driver. My phone and my SIM card is still going to be in the iPhone 16 Pro Max until the new one comes out. So all in all, the Pixel hardware and the software and the whole experience is good, especially if you're not tied into the Apple ecosystem like I am. But if you are, to be fully honest with you, it just doesn't make sense right now to fully transfer platforms unless you have a really good reason. And if you do, then you know who you are. But anyways, that's just my experience, so take it with a grain of salt. It's not the end all be all, but it is something that hopefully can give you a little bit of a reference point. Anyways, I really appreciate y'all for watching this video. I hope you found it informative. If you did, consider subscribing and hitting that like button. My name is Aryan. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.